Hi Sobat Unnes, how are you today? Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome back to Pods Kamling, podcast Kampus Keliling. Today is a very special day because we call it our program now in conversation. So in conversation basically is program to showcase our university talents, process and journey to be world-class university. This program also aims to be strategic platform to engage proactively with our university partners, students and other stakeholders globally. In our first episode, we have a very special guest. She is a friend of mine and we are also on the same team of World-Class University Unnes Task Force. So please welcome Dr. Puji Astuti, or well known as Unnes.
Thank you.
Okay, so how are you today?
I'm good, Pak
You
Sandy.
look
How are
amazing.
you? Thank you.
Okay, so before we are talking about the international academic mobility and so much more, so actually I would like to introduce you to the audience. Dr. Puji Astuti, or well known as Unnes, is an associate professor of teaching English as a foreign language TOEFL methodology at the Faculty of Languages and Arts, Universitas Negeri Semarang. She received her Ph.D. in education with specification in teaching, curriculum and change from the Warner Graduate School of Education and Human Development, University of Rochester, New York. Her research areas include active learning pedagogy, cooperative learning, identity, construction, and digital literacies. Her imaginary jobs, this is, the fun facts of her, are professional singer and violin player in a big orchestra. So welcome to In Conversation. Thank you for your time anyway. So when I'm reading your CV, your PhD is in education with the specification of in teaching, curriculum and change.
Yes.
So what kind of change actually in your discipline?
Well, thank you. That's a great question, Pak Sandy. So I think that question is a lifetime homework for me and fellow graduates from the same program. And as for now, my answer is that change is involved and required in our teaching. Just because you have a lesson plan, it doesn't mean that you are not allowed to make changes in your teaching. Especially when you put students' needs and backgrounds in your priority, changes are there. So that is teacher-initiated change. And when we talk about curriculum development, change is also involved and required because we want our kids, our students, to live meaningfully today and tomorrow. And that is a mandated change. And I believe that both teacher-initiated change and curriculum-mandated change, they are required in our effort to transform our education. And that's what Merdeka Belajar and Kurikulum Merdeka do right now, and I'm optimistic about that. So in essence then, change is situated very nicely alongside the word and the world of teaching and curriculum.
I think that's very, beautiful reminder for us to always constant learning.
Exactly.
Right? Because change is a constant.
Exactly, Pak Sandy.
Okay, so that's right. So as I know that you just returned from Norway for doing international academic mobility as our big theme for our podcast today. So could you tell me more about the program or the international academic mobility that you participated in?
All right. So it's actually a conference, Pak Sandy.
Okay.
It's a conference held by the International Society for the Advancement of Writing Research. This year's conference was held by the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, NTNU, located in a beautiful city of Trondheim. Trondheim is 15-minute flight away from Oslo, the capital of Norway. So why I decided to go there in person instead of doing online presentation is because part of the conference name is crossing borders.
Yeah.
So the complete name is writing research across borders. So that phrase, crossing borders, drove me to actually go there and did my in-person presentation. Again, instead of doing online, I decided to go there. So basically, I crossed borders, multiple borders, in order to be there, in order to set my foot on Norwegian soil. And another thing that drove me to go there is that the conference was also a medium for me to meet my PhD professors.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. There were two professors from my PhD program who were also there in the conference. They're Jane Lemers, my academic advisor, and M.G. Curry, my other professor from the same program. So it was a beautiful reunion for me. And Jane and I did our collaborative presentation in which we shared with the audience the results of our joint research on Indonesian students' digital literacy practices.
Okay, that's amazing. So I believe that you are exposed not only, with the conference, but also with the other academic activities as well. So related to the conference that you participate in just now, and then, reunion with your academic supervisors. So what is the importance of, specifically for the lecturers doing international academic mobility?
I would say that there is a strong connection between participating in international mobility with our construction of identity as scholar, academic researcher. Otherwise, there are no conferences held by associations, by universities, And I studied theories of identity construction. And from the theories, I learned that social participation, community of practice, agency, they're needed in our journey of, becoming academic, becoming scholar, becoming researcher. That's why in our meeting with our world-class university task force, I proposed an idea of having a forum like this and forum in other format in which our scholars who just returned from international mobility program would share what they got from the trip, from the program, and share what they got with Unnes community. Because I believe that scholarship is built through action and reflection. So having forum like this can be a medium for those scholars to do the reflection and share the reflection with others here at home at Unnes.
That's great. I agree because actually there is like a transfer of knowledge, dissemination, right, among scholars, and I think it's very beneficial for us, to always learn with the others. Okay, great. So talking about the conference in Norway, so what about the funding? I mean, because I believe many young lecturers or even maybe students want to follow your path, to travel internationally and also to learn, with the other international scholars. So what about the funding? What about the logistic things? Could you tell me more?
Sure. Part of the funding was from my faculty, the Faculty of Languages and Arts, and most of the funding was from my own pocket. Okay,
that's right. So it's between self-commitment and faculty commitment.
Exactly, yeah.
Related to the help or support from your faculty, so what do you think about, our university support for professional development in terms of lecturers mobility program? Do you think that university, commit, to improve our staff or our students, to engage with international programs actively?
Well, Unnes does. In retrospect, I went to Singapore for a 3-week short course. And I went to the US for my PhD program. I went to Thailand for a conference, and just recently, we just talked about this. I went to Norway for a conference, and Unnes' response has always been, yeah, go ahead, go. And for that, I'm grateful, Pak Sandy.
Okay, that's great. So have you ever experienced, to get other fundings from other sponsors? Probably, do you have any that experience?
Well, for my short course in Singapore, I got scholarship.
Okay.
And the same thing for my PhD program. I got funding. Yeah.
Okay, other agencies, right?
Exactly,
Not from Unnes. So
no.
That's external funding.
Yeah, external funding.
That's amazing. Okay. So now thinking about the scholarship and academic mobility. So what do you think about the association between the scholarship in general and also the academic mobility? Do we really need to do this kind of program?
Well, the answer for that question is yes, Pak Sandy. As I said earlier, there is a close connection between international mobility and construction of identity, our construction of identity as academic, as researcher, as scholar. And I think with the exposure of international forum, international discussion, we are better equipped to later engage in, scholarly conversation with them. And that reminds me of our homework as well, Pak Sandy. As a researcher, we have to do our job. We have to conduct our research rigorously so that when we meet scholars from all around the world, we have something to share. We have something to bring to the table. Yeah. We're able to join the conversation, the world conversation. And sometimes that is challenging, given our workload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you navigate, in terms of the workload and also professional development?
Well, that's a heavy question. Well, what I do is that I make sure that what I'm doing in my research is also talked about in the classroom. Okay. So when I'm in the classroom, I share with my students my research finding so that I internalize what I learned from my research. And I think when I do that on daily basis in my classroom, then that will be a great capital when I meet scholars from outside. Okay,
so great. So your teaching process is based on the research.
Yeah, so I'm trying my best to do that.
Scientifically backed up by your research. I think that's really amazing connection between research and teaching. Because I still remember during our discussion in our world-class university meeting, as we know the audience that we are on the same team, world-class university task force, and then we are trying to level up our university in the world-class university radar, and then a lot of going on there. But I believe that professional development and also internalizing, research to the teaching in the classroom is very strategic as well to improve our quality. Okay, so next question is related to, tell me, because I'm really curious about what happened during the conference. What did you learn? And then do you think that Unnes staff, academic staff specifically, has a competitive advantage among international scholars?
Well, Pak Sandy, if you're an MTV generation like me, you know this music duo called M2M. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that they were from Norway until I went to Norway.
Oh, that's really fun fact.
Yeah. So between sessions, I managed to visit a museum, a music museum. Okay. It's just across the street from the conference venue. And when I was there alone in one of the rooms in the museum, I enjoyed this song that they played with large screens in front of me, showing the video clip of this music. And I was like, I think I know the singer, And then I videotaped the video and I sent it back home to my husband, and he said like, well, she's member of M2M duo, you know? And I was like, oh my God. Well, I loved this beautiful duo from Norway, and I went to Norway and I met her. And the song is called On the Surface.
Okay.
And I think that's the theme of my trip to Norway. On the surface means many things for me. On the surface, when you see me going there, you just see me going there. I'm at the airport. I send you the photo.
Yeah.
But then under the surface, below the surface, there were things going on, like my preparation.
That's right.
Right? My preparation with my belongings, my preparation with my presentation, everything. Yeah. So you just see me on surface, but what really going on, you didn't know.
Yeah.
The same case as writing. People might see my work, my writing on the newspaper, in a journal, but below the surface, under the surface, I went through a lot of things, Pak Sandy. Maybe I skipped my lunch because like, you know, I'm in the middle of my writing, or maybe I only cook simply for my family because I want to, you know, have some time to finish. Exactly. Yeah. So again, there were a lot of things going on under the surface, especially for writing. Like we are required to write, but do we study what's really underneath the writing process? Do we have writing center here, Pak Sandy?
I'm not really sure, but I think we don't, right?
That's a homework.
That's your faculty, so I'm not really familiar. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So I think that's your responsibility.
Our responsibility.
To create a writing center here in the university. I think that's really great and shocking information as well, because I believe that when we were, you know, studying abroad, so I think research, in particular writing center, is a really, really strategic place, platform, especially for students internationally, you know, to improve their writing skills, to learn from one another. So I think that's very essential for a university to have.
Right. And the host for this year's conference, Norwegian University of Technology and Science, NTNU, they have the best writing research center in Scandinavian countries. That's why they served as the host, because they're the best in terms of writing research center.
Yeah, I believe that you learn a lot. So, so what is the long run impact? Because you're finishing your conference, academic mobility there, and then do you really want to, you know, internalize, you know, the ideas that you get from Norway, you know, to probably be implemented here, for example, like writing center, or maybe what kind of long run impact after your conference?
Well, Pak Sandy, I think when I met those other researchers, that reminds me of a homework that I have to do. Last year, I took a gap. I did not make myself a principal investigator for any research project. So this year I'm back. I'm gonna do an empirical study. Doing research, doing it rigorously, and then share the findings with others. It's really important. Again, the question of what do I have? What are those themes, or what are those findings that I can bring to the table, that I can share with other researchers and to public in general. So my plan is to come back to research so that I can join the conversation. Like, how can I talk with those other academics and researchers if I don't have something? And that something is gained through research, you know. So my short-term plan is to do the research rigorously, and then through that, I'm able to share with the world. I hope through that, I'm able to do another international mobility.
That's great because, publication or academic record, it comes from the publication.
Right.
Could be journal, could be book chapter, could be, the op-eds in the newspaper or something like that. So yeah, that's really interesting that you will always, try to do the research rigorously and then disseminate with other scholars globally. That's very interesting. Okay, so based on your experience, what kind of challenge that you face when you are, doing international academic mobility?
All right, talking about challenges, Pak Sandy, I think at university level, the challenge is for us to be clear and specific regarding what we have, what we are able to offer to the world, to international communities, international associations, universities overseas, including their research labs and research center.
Okay.
I think that's the homework for us to be specific. If it's already specific, then the homework is to share the list to, Unnes community, to share it widely. Here's what we have. Here's what we can offer to international communities and universities overseas.
Okay.
On personal level, Pak Sandy, as I said earlier, I have to do my homework, doing research rigorously so that I have a say when I meet international academics, researchers, scholars.
So you have something, on the table.
Exactly.
To discuss with, the scholars. Okay, so do you have any tips and tricks specifically for our young lecturers or even maybe our students, to participate in the international mobility program?
I asked a lot of questions, Pak Sandy, not necessarily about a research conference, but also with regards to my preparation. I asked questions to a friend of mine who is doing Ph.D. I asked questions to a friend of mine who is currently living in Trondheim. And they gave me an immense amount of support and advice. I asked questions to the committee, to the conference committee. Questions that perhaps people might see it as silly, but I asked the questions anyway. This is not my first time going to Europe, but I asked the questions anyway. I think my American education, to some degree, shaped me to be this brave. Asking questions so that I'm not getting lost.
Not reluctant to ask something when you need it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's great because I think do research is very important, specifically for the first timer. If you probably, go travel internationally and this is your first time, so definitely just go ask to the committee, to the friends, to the Indonesian associations, Indonesian students associations, because they are available anywhere. Okay, so I think that's really great tips from you. So, time flies. Actually, we have many questions related to the international academic mobility, but the time constraint. So my final question to you: what's next from Dr. Unnes?
Again and again, I have to do my research. I have to do my part, Pak Sandy, so that I'm ready to meet scholars internationally, and I have something to offer. And with my research findings, I am making sense of whether or not my work has contribution to the field. And I think that question, the question of whether or not my work contributes to the field, is a question that I have to answer. Constantly. Exactly.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Unnes.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. I had a very great time with you. But actually another final question. Going back to your imaginary jobs as a professional singer and violin player. So how's your practice then?
Well, Pak Sandy, I always envy them. I'm jealous of them because of the amount of preparation that they do before performing.
Yeah. The discipline.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which I don't have, So I see them as an example that preparation matters. That working in team is important, and I have to, work on that. I have to have the courage to listen to others, and with their help, I can perform. So it's not always about me, but I need them to be able to perform well.
Yeah. So I will proudly invite you to sing along with us, maybe in the next meeting of our WCU team for the next discussion.
Looking forward to that.
Looking forward. Okay, thank you so much once again. So let's wrap up our first edition of In Conversation. So thank you so much for joining us, and also please make sure you have to subscribe or also comment for another ideas for the next episode. So to wrap up our first episode, I think it is well documented, there is a positive association between international academic mobility and then the, professional development, specifically in international teaching, research collaboration, and dissemination. Okay, so that's really nice to talk to you, Dr. Unnes, once
Same
again.
Here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So Dr. Unnes and I signing off. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.